details. American Airlines terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Superintendent of Police Nicholas George is not encouraging persons to move back and forth during the two one-day international games being held at the Windsor Park Stadium this weekend. George said while arrangements will be made to accommodate emergencies, the practice is not being encouraged.
We're hoping that the arrangements that are in the stand and the stadium, unless you have an emergency, you will have no reason to leave. Yes, so if you, yes. And I think that has been taken into consideration. But it is not something that is being advertised because sufficient provision is made for everybody. But the question, I understand, if you leave and you have your stop, so when you come back, you go through the same process. But you see, when you leave, you will miss a 6. I know that arrangements are being made to entertain for the entire day, even in between innings. That is why I explained at the beginning that the number of registered vehicles are in excess of 20,000. The road network in Roseau from Charles Avenue to Fort Lee is about 10 miles. So we computed it would probably accommodate 3,000 vehicles.
Superintendent of Police Nicholas George. As the month of May is coming to an end, the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association is reporting on a successful Tourism Awareness Month. Tourism Awareness Month was aimed at increasing the awareness of the tourism hospitality industry's economic, cultural, and social contributions to Dominica. The association held a number of activities to mark Tourism Awareness Month.
We're coming to the end of May now. We had, which everybody should be aware of now, hopefully, is Tourism Awareness Month. And the DHTA had some big events during that month. The first one, of course, was the Hike Fest. And we did 3 consecutive Saturdays, and we're very, very pleased with how those went. We did different sections of the Waitikabuli National Trail, one up in Silibia to Pagua Bay, and one from Soufriere to Scott's Head, and the last one from Capuchin to Cabritz National Park. And we had over 35 people on the first 2 hikes and over 60 people on the last hike. So we're very happy with the turnout. And we were happy to get Digicel on board as our headline sponsor for Hike Fest this year. And we also had on board Luvia Spring Water, with great help for all our thirsty hikers. And on the last hike, we had on board Gatorade. So that was a great help. We had a long, hot hike on that last day. So that was a big help to us. And we also had a really good participation from the private sector. All the DHTA members came out and we gave away tons of good prizes and weekends in hotels and meals at different restaurants and all sorts of different things that the membership of the DHTA came up. So we were really happy with that.
President of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Sam Raphael. He says the Creole and All That Jazz, which was held here on Sunday, could become an annual event in Dominica.
And of course, the last weekend we just had the National Tourism Cocktail Party at Cabritz on the Saturday night, and then on the Sunday the DDA put on the Creole and All That Jazz also at the Cabritz. So that was a really, really great weekend. We had over 230 people at our event, which because of the weather all week, of course, we were very concerned about the turnout, but that was very well attended, and the jazz, I think, on DDA's behalf was well attended as well, and the rain didn't bother us too much on that night. We're trying to build up Hike Fest. It's only the 3rd year we've done Hike Fest, so we're trying to build up Hike Fest and make it into a big regional event, so people will come from the neighboring islands because we really have one of the best hiking potential in the area. So we're hoping that we will get a lot of bookings in the future for Hike Fest, so you don't get it right away the first year you do it. Also this year, Creole and All That Jazz at Cabritz, that was the first year that's been done. I think based on this year, that's something that could definitely be successful. I know this year there were some challenges with the ferries coming in over that weekend. Had we not had those challenges, I think we would have seen a lot more regional tourists coming in for Creole and All That Jazz. But as with most things, people often wait and see how the first year goes. So I think next year we will start to see, in the month of May, more people coming in for Hike Fest, more people coming in for Creole and All That Jazz.
And that's the president of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Sam Raphael. Assistant Superintendent of Police Yvonne Alexander says the issue of equal rights and opportunities for females in the workplace are still a cause for serious concern within the police force. She was addressing the Women's Magazine program on Kairifm. She says 80% of the applicants for the enlistment in the police force are females.
The applicants, 80% females. I am not for any minute suggesting that you recruit 80% females, because the applicants are 80% females. To every 10 applications you get for enlistment in the police force, 8 are women, 2 are men. Our recruitment practices still predominantly male. And I'm not saying that we can change that by virtue of the type of job that policing is. We cannot necessarily change that. But what I'm asking is, let us review what is happening there, because you see what is going to happen is you will begin diluting the standard for enlistment for males, because you're looking for more males. And you may be losing the opportunity to get some really bright and promising, that may turn out to be committed and dedicated females on board if we just stick to the status quo. We don't have to change the status quo overnight. What we have to do is review what we are doing and probably be determined based on even some of the articles in the Convention of the Rights of the Child. One particular article that speaks to putting a system in place where you include many more females within certain boundaries. Beyond that, we have the situation of many more females in college, many more females completing high school, many more males dropping out. No, you do not change the recruitment practices overnight. No, you do not recruit 80% females. But can we say, let's say, by 2015, we may want to see 20% females in the police force?
Assistant Superintendent of Police Yvonne Alexander. In more news this morning, tourism consultant Sobers Esprit says the linkage between festival events and tourism is critical. Dominica is observing Tourism Awareness Month in May. Esprit says Dominica needs to move towards cultural tourism.
Because for islands like ours, as tourist destinations, we have to be different from the rest, because as you know, the tourism industry is a worldwide industry. Almost every country, in fact, is really involved in the tourism business. So we have to stand out and be different. And cultural tourism or festivals, well, festivals is part of cultural tourism. Is an important part of what is happening now. The recognition, in terms of trying to explain to our listeners that one of the ways we think that our tourism will grow and must grow is by what we call the niche market approach or specialty tourism, and festivals and events is really one of those areas that we think that we need to focus attention on at this time. As you know, we have been promoting a number of events in Dominica. There are two major ones, the World Creole Music Festival and Mass Dominique, but there are smaller events like Die Fest, High Fest, the Emancipation Festival, Domfesta, and there are several village festivals that have been going on in Dominica for centuries.
Tourism consultant Sobers Esprit. The Fire and Ambulance Department says it is fully prepared to deal with any emergency during the 2 one-day international games in Dominica. The West Indies will take on South Africa on May 28th and 30th in Dominica.
Yeah, the Fire and Ambulance Services is well organized or prepared to provide coverage to the public for the 2 days of international cricket, West Indies versus South Africa. I say so in terms of both our ambulances and fire appliances. Our presence will be felt at the Windsor Park for these 2 days, giving full coverage to the public as relates to fire officers. Prior to the game, we had what you call a simulation exercise, which involved the Red Cross, the police, and the fire department, also the hospital. That we simulated like adventure that something is to happen, God forbid, that we would be well prepared and ready to perform our duties at the park. That took place somewhere, I think, 2 Saturdays back, and it was well organized, well put forward.
PRO for the Dominica Fire and Ambulance Department, Philbert Samuel. In news from the region, at least 44 people have died during fighting between police and gunmen in the current anti-drug offensive in Kingston, Jamaica's capital. The city has seen days of running battles between security forces and the fighters loyal to a suspected drug trafficker sought by the U.S. The whereabouts of the alleged drug lord Christopher Dudas Cook is unknown. Police